What's up guys, my name's Brandon and welcome back to the 44th jailbreak update video, and we have some great news to talk about today. So in this episode we're going to be talking about a brand new kernel exploit that will be released for iOS 11.1.2 and below, Pangu being active again, Luca Todesco's KPP bypass, and more. Before we start the video, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel and have that bell icon clicked. Make sure you have notifications turned on so you get updated anytime there's any kind of news with a jailbreak. I've done a ton of these episodes and I just love bringing you guys news in a really easy to digest manner, so make sure you're subscribed to stay as up to date as possible with jailbreaking. All right, so now let's get into the news. So just this morning, Ian Beer of Google's Project Zero joined Twitter for the first time and made a very interesting and exciting announcement with his first tweet. Now, before we get into that tweet and talking about everything about it, if you don't know who Ian Beer is, he is part of Google's Project Zero, and he's the one who released the mock portal exploit to the public, which of course did lead to the jailbreak thanks to Luca Todesco. He also released a kernel exploit for iOS 10 through 10.3.2. However, that never actually ended up being a jailbreak. Nobody ever worked on that. It's still out there in the public, out there in the wild. Somebody could release something, use that to release a jailbreak, but there was no jailbreak from that exploit, but it was still out there in the public. He still did release it. So that is Ian Beer, again, a big part of Google's Project Zero, very trusted member of the community. So anyways, here's what Ian Beer had to say on Twitter. If you're interested in bootstrapping iOS 11 kernel security research, keep a research-only device on iOS 11.1.2 or below. Part 1 release soon. So what exactly does this mean? So basically all this tweet means is that Ian Beer is saying that he is going to be releasing a kernel exploit just like he did the two previous times for mock portal, and then also with iOS 10 through 10.3.2, that exploit. It's going to be the same thing here with iOS 11.1.2 and below. And once again, a kernel exploit does not mean that we're going to get a full jailbreak. An exploit and a jailbreak are two completely separate things. An exploit is needed for a jailbreak, but it is not an entire jailbreak. That's not what makes a full jailbreak. You need more. You need chaining exploits and a KPP bypass, things like that. However, this is a kernel exploit, which means it's one of the most powerful exploits we can have, which makes up a big portion of a full jailbreak. So this is the biggest piece that was needed in the puzzle for a jailbreak, and it's good that it's going to be released very soon. Now, with all that being said, the release of this exploit could very well lead to a jailbreak like it did for mock portal, but the big difference between this and mock portal is that with mock portal, Luca Todesco basically took that, added some of his own exploits and a KPP bypass to it, and then released the jailbreak. But since then, Luca Todesco made it very clear that he's not going to be working on public iOS research. He's not going to be doing any kind of public research for iOS anymore, so it's going to take somebody else to take this exploit and add onto it, chain onto it, and release a jailbreak. So basically, when this kernel exploit for 11.1.2 does get released, we're going to have to rely on other security researchers, other teams, to be able to chain this exploit together with others and get a fully working jailbreak. And again, it's probably not going to be Luca Todesco. Now, just because Luca Todesco may not be involved doesn't mean that we're not going to get a public jailbreak. We've seen plenty of other security researchers out there and other teams out there, especially ones I've mentioned here on the channel in previous episodes, that very well could release a public jailbreak utilizing this exploit from Ian Beer. And speaking of Luca Todesco, you guys know how I feel about him. I still don't think he's fully 100% out of the iOS exploitation game, publicly at least. If an exploit like this gets released and there's a jailbreak like more than halfway done, I could very well see him coming out of the shadows and helping with this jailbreak and bringing another jailbreak to the community. I don't think it's a very big possibility. I think it's a small chance, but I still think he has a little bit of interest in releasing a public jailbreak, maybe that he just won't admit publicly. So all in all, we can expect a kernel exploit to be released for iOS 11.1.2 and below from Google's Project Zero, Ian Beer, and Google's Project Zero. And basically, we're just going to kind of have to play the waiting game after it gets released. Most people are not going to be able to do anything with it because it's going to be an Xcode project. Most people aren't going to know what to do with just an exploit like that. You're going to have to chain it together again with other exploits to get a full working jailbreak. And again, the release of this exploit does not guarantee a jailbreak. However, it is a lot more promising coming from Ian Beer than pretty much anybody else at this point. So of course, I will be making a video on the channel when the exploit does get released. I will also be showing it on Twitter. I'll also be, tweeting about it on Twitter before I even get it up on YouTube. So make sure you are following me over there on Twitter. You can find that link down in the description below. So now with all that being said, what version should you be on right now? Should you update to 11.1.2 no matter what version you're on, or what should you do? Well, first of all, if you are on iOS 11.2, definitely go ahead and downgrade to 11.1.2 immediately. iOS 11.2 patches a ton of vulnerabilities. You definitely don't want to be on 11.2 if you are interested in jailbreaking whatsoever. Now, if you're on a lower version of iOS 11, like iOS 11, iOS 11.0.1, iOS 11.1, definitely go ahead and update to 11.1.2. And you can do that by downloading the IPSW file from ipsw.me and manually updating through iTunes. Now, if you're on iOS 10.3.1 or iOS 10.3.2, you are in a tough spot. A public jailbreak is still very possible for iOS 10.3.1 and 10.3.2, given the amount of public exploits out there in the wild right now. But once again, as you learned in this video, it's also very possible to come for iOS 11.1.2, so what exactly should you be doing right now? And I'd say to stay on iOS 10.3.1 or 10.3.2 and kind of just wait and see what happens with this exploit and if there's a jailbreak that comes out of it, because iOS 11.1.2 is still going to be signed for a pretty long time, so you don't want to update and lose a version that you can never get back to. So I would stay on 10.3.1 10.3.1 or 10.3.2 if you are on that version right now. Now, if you're on iOS 10.3.3, I would personally update because 10.3.3 does patch the kernel exploits that are out there in the wild for 10.3.1 and 10.3.2. So if you are on 10.3.3, I would personally update to 11.1.2 now. Now let's quickly talk about Pangu. So today, a member of the Pangu team posted on Twitter, and they actually have a new blog post up on their Chinese website as well, and it's all about the iOS 11.1.2 kernel exploit being patched. Now what's interesting about this is the timing. So this was published on the same day that Ian Beer mentioned that he's going to be releasing a kernel exploit. So it's possible that we're basically looking at the same exploit here. And you can see here that all the information about this exploit is available to the public. So if anyone has the knowledge, they could potentially use this to aid in a jailbreak. So this doesn't mean too much to some people, but to some security researchers, this is some great information. And it's really great to see Pangu still actually interested and still working on iOS, which is awesome because they've been so quiet for so long, especially on Twitter. And of course, if anything else comes from this, I will let you guys know on Twitter and also in a YouTube video. And lastly, let's talk about Luca Todesco and something very interesting that he tweeted out today. So he tweeted out this: contrary to popular belief, the Yalu 10.2 KPP bypass is not dead after 10.3. One of the strategies used doesn't work anymore, but that's not strictly necessary. Apple can't fix the core issue as far as I know. So this is super interesting because basically what Luca Todesco is saying here is that Apple cannot patch this KPP bypass with software. It's going to take hardware modifications to pass this KPP bypass. So basically this is just going to work on any iOS version unless a new phone comes out that modifies this and basically patches this KPP bypass. So super interesting stuff here tweeted out by Luca Todesco today. But anyways, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. That is the latest going on in the jailbreak community. A ton went down today, a lot of interesting news, a lot of stuff coming from multiple sources. So it's really cool to see the jailbreak community so alive and well right now, but pretty much a bright future ahead. You know, a lot of people are talking about jailbreak dying. I mean, I can't see how anybody could say jailbreak's dying with as much news has been coming out recently within the past, month or two. So lots of stuff happening in the jailbreak community. Make sure you guys stay subscribed. Make sure you follow me on Twitter to keep up with everything jailbreak related. And as always, if you have any questions at all, make sure to leave a comment down in the comment section below. I will definitely get back to you on there. Also, if you have any questions, you can hit me on Twitter. I'll definitely get back to you on Twitter as well. So if you enjoyed the video and you're looking forward to an iOS 11 jailbreak, make sure to hit that like button. Also, make sure to subscribe to stay as up to date as possible with this iOS 11.1.2 jailbreak. So thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon.